My name's Matthew, and my case study is about professional communication at Walmart. I will be talking about the thesis, the organizational background, the problem, key intercultural challenges, and lastly, interventions implemented. The thesis is about Walmart struggled with communication because it relied on direct US-centric norms despite employing many workers from high context, collectivists, and diverse backgrounds to improve communication. Walmart needed to recognize these cultural differences and redesign workplace practices to better support diversity in the workplace. Organizational background. Walmart is the largest private employer in the United States with over 1.6 million US employees. Its workforce includes workers from Latino and Black, Asian American backgrounds, employees with different levels of English proficiency. Research shows that US workplaces are experiencing declining perceptions of inclusion, especially among underrepresented and multilingual employees. Culture Amp's 2024 DEI report documents a national drop in employees feeling that their organization value diversity and inclusion, particularly among immigrant and non-native English speakers. The problem, the problem was that Walmart employees reported communication and cultural challenges, especially when managers misinterpreted indirect communication styles common in many cultures. These misunderstandings often led to assumptions that diverse associates lacked leadership potential. Research on cross-cultural management in U.S. retail firms reinforces this pattern, noting that multicultural employees bring different norms around hierarchy and communication, while corporate cultures typically reflect U.S. expectations, creating friction when these styles collide. Cross-cultural management and U.S.-based multinational retail firms, 2025. Walmart employees reported that accents were judged as unprofessional. Not being English dominant was mistaken for lack of competence. As a result, bilingual employees were underutilized or overlooked for leadership roles. Feedback conflicts. U.S. born managers tended to give direct corrective feedback, which employees from high context culture perceived as disrespectful or humiliating. When there are reports of communication conflicts between direct low context, often US born staff, and communicators and high context communicators, often immigrant staff, means that employees are misunderstanding each other because they use different styles of communication. When an organization reports lower promotion rates, multilingual employees, despite strong performance, it means that employees who speak multiple languages, often immigrants or people from diverse backgrounds, are not promoted as often as their monolingual peers, even though their job performance is just as good or better. This suggests that something in the promotion process may be biased, inconsistent, or not recognize the value these employees bring. Stores with the greatest cultural diversity are also among those with the highest turnover, in part because communication gaps made daily operations harder. A 2023 Forbes article by Dr. King noted that growing DEI, fatigue, and skepticism are causing many employees to feel frustrated, doubtful, or worn out by diversity and inclusion efforts. As trust and enthusiasm decline, some workers question whether these initiatives are truly effective or making a meaningful impact. Key intercultural challenges. When there are reports of communication conflicts between direct, low context, often US-born staff, and communicators in high context communicators, often immigrant staff, means that employees are misunderstanding each other because they use different communication styles. Low context communicators tend to be very explicit and straightforward, and on the other hand, high context communicators rely more on tone, shared meaning, and unspoken cues. Communication styles differences means that people in the workplace express themselves in different ways based on their cultural backgrounds and personalities or experiences. For example, in Western cultures, some employees may communicate very directly and say exactly what they mean. On the other hand, the communication style is high context, for example, while others rely more on tone, context, or nonverbal cues. These misunderstandings frustration, or conflict if people interpret each other's styles incorrectly or assume their own way is the normal or right way to communicate. Employees from cultures where managers are seen as authority figures were less likely to speak up or talk about their own accomplishments. US managers expect direct communication, often misunderstood. This quietness has a lack of interest or engagement. US managers often expect feedback to be direct, immediate, and openly discussed, but many immigrant employees come from cultures where feedback is meant to be private, relationship focused, and delivered with more sensitivity. When managers give blunt feedback, it can feel disrespectful or embarrassing. And when employees hesitate to speak up, managers may assume they're being evasive or unresponsive. These mismatched expectations create unavoidable tension and misunderstandings on both sides. Accent discrimination is a well-documented issue in US retail settings, including Walmart. Employees with strong regional or non-US accents often report being judged as less competent, less knowledgeable, or harder to understand, even when their job performance is solid. This bias can affect customer interactions, performance evaluations, and opportunities for advancement. According to the 2023 McKinsey and Company report, structural inequities or unfair patterns built into the system's policies. And everyday practices of an organization or society. These inequities don't come from one person's actions, but from the way the system is set up. As a result, certain groups consistently have less access to opportunities, resources, support, or advancement. Even though Walmart's frontline workforce is highly diverse, its leadership re- ranks remain dominated by US-born dom, dominant employees. This creates a disconnect between who does the work and who makes the decisions. Many multilingual or immigrant employees feel overlooked for promotions because leadership roles often favor strong English fluency, US communication norms, and familiarity with American workplace expectations. As a result, talented employees who could advance altered filtered out early, reinforcing leadership pipeline that doesn't reflect the diversity of the stores themselves. Interventions implemented. Walmart's 2024 annual report notes that the company expanded manager training to include intercultural communication, unconscious and accent bias, inclusive leadership aimed at reducing and understandings that drive turnover and conflict. Since its 2020 launch, nearly 1,900 associates have completed the Belonging Institute, gaining practicing practical tools to communicate across cultures, recognize hidden biases, and support multilingual and immigrant employees. According to Walmart's 2024 annual report, the company expanded leadership pathways to help bilingual and multilingual associates advance into store and club management roles. These programs reframe language skills as an asset, offering targeted training and mentorship and clear promotion criteria so multilingual employees can move into leadership with confidence. Walmart also launched new leadership programs in the club support office and continued building the skills of hourly associates or salaried roles through initiatives like manager and training efforts aimed at creating a leadership pipeline that reflects the diversity of its workforce and customers. Walmart 2024 annual report. While Walmart's 2024 Belonging, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion report does not specifically reference partnerships with community-based hiring in immigrant communities, it clearly demonstrates the company's commitment to supporting diverse and multilingual associates once they join the workforce through initiatives like mentor circles, including a frontline pilot with Lean In and the Gateways Development program. Walmart is intentionally building development pathways that help culturally diverse employees strengthen their skills, feel supported, and advance into leadership roles. These internal programs reinforce the same goals as community-based hiring and training by creating an environment where associates from all backgrounds can succeed. Thank you.